Welcome to the Fantasy Pros live stream, start sit week 5. Can't believe it's already week 5. I'm your host for the next hour or so. I'm Andrew Erickson. I'm over on Twitter at Andrew Erickson _ You can find all my work over at ProFootballFocusPFF.com. I just dropped the Stardom Cinema article over on PFF.com, so go check that out. I'm going to be talking about some of those players from the article here on the live stream, while also answering your questions. So make sure to hop in the chat. I will try to get to as many questions as possible. I guess I'm breaking records at the amount of questions I can answer during one live stream. I guess I bring the speed, Sonic the Hedgehog speed. So you got to absolutely love it. But first, I want to go over a couple news and notes from around the league as we get some more injury updates as we head into Thursday night football tonight between the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. The biggest injury news is just what's going on with Chris Carson. He's dealing with some weird neck injury. There are no updates about whether he's going to play or not yet. But first of all, make sure Alex Collins is not available on your waiver wire. If you're watching this, go check your waiver wire and make sure Alex Collins is not on there. He should be added in all rosters because he's the direct handcuff to Chris Carson. He played basically half the snaps with Chris Carson, kind of banged up a little bit last week as well. So go get Alex Collins. If he is active tonight and Chris Carson's out, he's a back end RB2. I would not put him in my flex necessarily. Again, you don't put Thursday night players in your flexes anyway. So if you feel good about your top 2 running backs, don't feel like you need to start Alex Collins in your flex as like a third running back. The matchup is not great against the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, he's going to get some volume. He can find the end zone, but I don't necessarily like the matchup. And I think that you can get more upside from a potential wide receiver play. Like I would still start like Cordero Patterson. Probably I would still play over a guy like Alex Collins to kind of give you guys a ballpark, but we still don't know yet. We'll probably find out probably 90 minutes before kickoff whether Chris Carson's active or not. You know, Pete Carroll likes to keep things close to the vest, and he's also the most optimistic coach at times when he talks about certain players being available. So we will find out if Chris Carson is available. Any other news? So Lane Johnson remained silent for Thursday's practice. Byron Jones returned to practice. So a couple of defensive players, nothing too much. Guys coming back. Laviska Shenault. Darrell Bevell said there would be a bigger role for Laviska Shenault with DJ Chark out with a fractured ankle. So perfect segue into Laviska Shenault, who is a player I think that people should start this week. Laviska Shenault, I took the L on Shenault last week. I thought that he wasn't a great play because I didn't see the target share kind of distributing away with all those other guys, with Chark and Marvin Jones. So Chark was seeing all the air yards, and Marvin Jones was dominating the target share in the Jags offense. But in that article, I also pointed out that unless a Jaguar gets hurt in this offense, you can't trust Shenault. So, of course, DJ Chark goes down like the first play, and Shenault has a huge game. People are coming into my DMs being like, yo, you told me to bench Shenault. I'm like, guys, I didn't envision the DJ Chark injury happening, but now that it has happened and it's in the past, we can adjust expectations moving forward. And I agree with what Darrell Bevell is saying here. Yes, we saw Laviska Shenault have an expanded role without DJ Chark last week. So this is kind of just bolstering the fact that the coaches noticed it as well. We saw Shenault's target share rise from 17% to 29%. And the biggest thing was his role change. His average depth of target went from 5.0. Basically, he was just catching dump offs near the line of scrimmage to 13.4, almost tripling his average depth of target. So he's seeing way more vertical looks, which is what we want for fantasy football. We want those big downfield throws. It leads to more fantasy points. So I like that matchup for Shenault. And you look at the matchup against Tennessee Titans, I think that he's an easy wide receiver 3 this week. You look at the Titans, they're one of the worst against wide receivers so far this year in terms of fantasy points allowed. And Chenault specifically as the team slot receiver. He's lined up in the slot on 82% of his snaps so far this year, and the Titans rank 31st in passer rating allowed on targets to the slot receivers. Chenault is the highest targeted receiver on a per route run basis. I've done a lot of route research this week. I just dropped a new routes article, kind of talking about routes run, which is something that we highlight a ton over at pff.com. You can go check that out at pff.com. It's a route participation, everything you kind of need to know about routes run. It's a good indicator because I know we like to chase targets, but before a player can get a target, they need to run a route. So it's really kind of diving into player usage and looking at routes run. And Laviska Shenault popped with a 22% target rate per route run, which is why you should be high on him in week 5. Other news and notes before we get into the questions, talk about some more starts and sits. McCaffrey, it says Matt Rule's hopeful that McCaffrey can play. So if he plays, he's good. Like, he's good to go. There's no reason to think that this coaching staff isn't just going to put him out there. I know that last year what happened was, I think it was Ian Rappaport, went out and said that, it's going to be split between Mike Davis and McCaffrey to start after McCaffrey came back from his injury last year for one game, and that was false. Like, we've seen this before with the same exact coaching staff. If McCaffrey's in there, he's getting all the work. So do not be hesitant at all. Play him in DFS. Like, play him, start him in your lineup. Don't feel concerned about it at all, because what we've seen so far from these coaching staff is that when these running backs are good, they're good to go and they're ready to fire off. And look, McCaffrey's role had changed a little bit. Like, he wasn't always playing all the snaps. Chuba Hubbard had actually been playing a little bit more even during the beginning of the season when McCaffrey was healthy, but McCaffrey was still getting like 30 touches per game, super involved in the passing game. That's not going away at all. Like, Sam Darnold's still going to target McCaffrey. So, you're going to want to fire him up. If he's at low rostership in DFS, man, you got to be all over Christian McCaffrey. Falcons receivers, Ridley's just dealing with something, mispractice. I'm not too worried about it. I know they're going to London this week. So again, just keep tabs on if he's not on the plane. Like that's a concern that they're going overseas. Baker Mayfield, suffered a partially torn labrum in his left shoulder. So this probably maybe has a reason why he wasn't accurate. I mean, you don't throw with your left shoulder, or at least Baker Mayfield doesn't. So I don't think that would affect how he's throwing. Maybe I could talk to a quarterback expert, but I think that it's worth monitoring to know that, okay, maybe he's still a little bit banged up. Maybe that's why he wasn't super accurate throwing to OBJ. So we'll buy the bounce back on OBJ against the Chargers this week. I would definitely not. Mayfield, you can't start. He is a sit this week for me, just based on the fact that he was just absolutely atrocious last week. Just, you could not trust him again. 45.5% completion percentage. He just completed 15 of 33 passes. PFF grade 45.5, 35th out of 36 qualifying quarterbacks. His 16.1 expected fantasy points per game ranks 23rd this season. So even in 2 quarterback leagues, I'm not looking to start Baker Mayfield. I know I have a 2 quarterback league where I'm deciding between Mayfield and Justin Fields, and I'm starting Justin Fields. Like, not starting Baker Mayfield. I'm sorry. Just haven't seen it. It sucks too, because he finished the season so strong last year. It looked like he was starting out the season great, but I don't know, him and OBJ just have not been able to mesh. It's so weird because he's able to mesh with Jarvis Landry fine. So we will see. And it's just not a great matchup. PFF has a strength of schedule tool, which is a little bit different than how fantasy points against works. It's actually looking at the rosters of each player and incorporating PFF grades. And they actually have the Chargers as the most difficult matchup for quarterbacks. So Baker Mayfield is going to have a long day at the office while he's playing the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'm going to want to fade Baker Mayfield, but I still want to play OBJ just because I think that the bounce back is there. Like, he should bounce back. All the opportunities were there, the air yards, end zone targets, target share. It was all there for Odell Beckham last week. So I know it's frustrating, but I would say to not necessarily just bury him. Don't bury him. I think that he can still do a little bit more. One news nugget that just kind of came in here that I'm kind of seeing is that Cincinnati Bengals are going to use a committee approach if Joe Mixon is ruled out. So this is coming from the offensive coordinator. So that's very telling, because he's the one that controls the game. So I think that this is appropriate to just temper expectations for Samaje Perine. Again, I was unsure about where I wanted to rank him. I think I have him as like a running back in the 30s or in the high 20s. I think he's at RB 27 for me right now. But yeah, so basically this type of news is that Perine is going to probably be the early down back, runner on first and second downs, and Chris Evans is going to be the pass catching back, the rookie from Michigan, which he's just better at. So yeah, They're interesting pieces for sure. I guess you don't necessarily need to jam in P. Ryan. Really, you're only playing Samaje P. Ryan probably if you just need a replacement directly for Joe Mixon. So not a ton of upside for really either guy because it's going to be split. And especially if the Bengals fall behind, then you could see Chris Evans playing more than Samaje P. Ryan. If Samaje P. Ryan, if the Bengals play with a big lead, you'll see more from P. Ryan. So they're both kind of game script dependent. So more on the fringe. So you're not necessarily looking for either of them as like a flex play, really more as an RB2 play, Chris Evans in PPR formats. But yeah, make sure that they're at least rostered. Chris Evans is interesting. He's a guy I liked a lot coming out from Michigan. And P. Ryan he's okay. He's just kind of like a plodding back. But hey, Peyton Barber I thought was a plodding back too. And then he just came out and had new life for the Las Vegas Raiders. So don't necessarily write off these guys. They should be rostered because look, this injury thing with Mixon happened last year and it just did not pan out well. Let's just say that for much. All right, let's dive into some of these questions here just so I can get people satisfied because I know that's why people come to the chat. I know why people come to this. I know why people tune in. It's for the questions. All right, let's get these queued up here. All right, got 12 new messages. All right, Nathan Baker. All right, I got to go all the way to the top. All right, let's get it. Okay. Corey Sanchez. All right. Darrell Henderson, Nick Chubb, Flex, Devontae Smith, and Emmanuel Sanders. All right. You got to start Darrell Henderson. I'm sorry. Like, I have Chubb ranked higher, I think, but man, Darrell Henderson is so set up to smash this week. Such a good match. You know what? I really like them both. I wish you could flex. Can you flex them both? So I'll go Nick Chubb. Great matchup. Darrell Henderson also has a great matchup, but I'm going to take Chubb. Devontae Smith, Emmanuel Sanders, or Corey Davis. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. Now, go with Corey Davis. Corey Davis is a good matchup. The Atlanta Falcons are atrocious. They're just not good at defense. Corey Davis is featured in my start-sit article as a start. He was finished 10th in air yards last week and 19th in air yard share. And look, it's the second best matchup per PFF's strength of schedule tool against Atlanta. And Atlanta ranks 28th in explosive pass play rate allowed this year. So I'm going to go with Corey Davis. Joshua Borg, starting Waller at tight end, flex. Who do I start at tight ends? Knox or Higbee? I'm going to go with Tyler Higbee. Basson for Biggins. Should I trade Godwin for Henderson? If you need a running back, yes. David Gallagher, Russell Wilson, or Sam Darnold this week. Oof, man. That one's tough because I don't like Russ, but I know that Sam Darnold, the flame is going to burn out eventually. And I can't. I mean, look, I'm never going to start Sam Darnold over Russ Wilson. I'm sorry. I'm going Russ. Kenneth Lee, Collins, if Carson is out, or P. Ryan if Mixon is out. I would go with probably Alex Collins because I think that he's attached to a better offense. I think that, yeah, I'll go with Collins there. I think he's a little more established and he's going to probably be more involved. The Seahawks, it's pretty similar situations. I know that they've used Travis Homer, but I think Collins has looked a little bit better. So I'll do with that. Nathan Baker, Hurts, or Lance? Going Jalen Hurts. Guys, Jalen Hurts is an auto start every single week. Like, you start him no matter what. I have Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson on the same team. And I'm starting Jalen Hurts every single time. Jalen Hurts, weekly fantasy finish in his last 7 full games. QB4, QB10, QB10, QB5, QB12, QB1, QB11. He doesn't ever not be a top 12 quarterback. Every single week, QB1. Every single week, QB1. So he literally just, he remains undefeated. Best way to put it there. Okay. Christian Foster, good morning, Andrew. What do you think of Robert Woods and half on PPR tonight? Other options are my wide receiver 2, Sutton, Higgins, and A-Rob. Okay, great question. Robert Woods I have as a start this week. Why, do you ask? It's because the matchup is great on paper. The Seattle Seahawks are not a good defense. They have been struggling against wide receivers so far this year. So I like Robert Woods to bounce back. And he's got an 18% target share through 4 weeks outside the top 40 receivers. Not great. 13.2 expected fantasy points per game, which is 32nd overall. So you're kind of falling into wide receiver 3 territory with Woods. But look, it's the classic, squeaky wheel gets the grease. Or as I said on the Fantasy Pros podcast on the Start Sit 'em show, is Robert Woods is getting the fertilization, man. That's what's happening. He's getting the fertile from Sean McVay, and I think it's going to work out great in his favor. We saw this with Robbie Anderson play out. Matt Rule's talking him up, and Robbie Anderson he tied his season long in targets. He had 11 targets through the first 3 weeks of the season, and he had 11 targets in week 4 alone. He didn't do much with them, but he got the opportunity. So if I would tell you Robert Woods is going to get 11 targets in this game, you would start him. So follow the process. I like that play with Robert Woods. Not his routes run per dropback rate. Again, talking about routes run again, you can check out the full article on pff.com. 94%. That was his highest of the season. So he's continuing to run routes. Seattle is allowed the second most fantasy points to wide receivers. So I'm going to continue to hammer home Robert Woods. Feel better about Robert Woods than Allen Robinson. I'll say that at least. Woods is attached to a much high-powered offense, whereas Allen Robinson has a rookie quarterback that doesn't even necessarily favor him as the number one target. Obviously, you have Robert Woods dealing with Cooper Kupp, but Darnell Mooney's starting to really emerge in that offense as well for the Chicago Bears. So I actually feel better about Woods than Allen Robinson. So if you're just fighting between those two players, I would definitely lean towards Robert Woods tonight on Thursday Night Football. But to your question, though, Christian Foster, again, you did also mention T. Higgins, who I did not see as an option when I originally read the question. So I would start T. Higgins over him. But his question, so he mentioned Sutton, Higgins, and A-Rob. So I know I hit on A-Rob. Sutton might have Drew Lock under center, which is no bueno for the most part. So I will go with T. Higgins, though. T. Higgins, 28% target share. Also in the Start Sit 'em article, 28% target share through the first 2 weeks of the season. He should, I assume he's just going to take back the alpha chair. I have no concerns about him not being the alpha in that offense. Jamar Chase has obviously been made a ton of big plays down the field. I think it's really going to be Tyler Boyd. That's kind of who we see just kind of mediocre numbers to start the year to open the season with T. Higgins involved. So I will go with T. Higgins over all those guys. Joshua Borg. Okay. All right. Let's see. DMB JM 22. Half point PPR. Zach Moss or Alex Collins at flex. I'm going Zach Moss. George Collier. Full point PPR. Waddle, Patrick, or Sermon for flex. Going with Jalen Waddle. We 0947. Rodgers or Cousins for quarterback. Go there on Rodgers. Gerald Colton, Woods, or Antonio Brown. I'm going to go with... It's close. I think I'll lean towards Robert Woods. Flicky, Jamar Chase, or Jacoby Myers. Jamar Chase is who I would lean towards there. Rob Mack TV, full point PPR, flex spot, Mooney or Michael Pittman. I'm going to go with Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman has been more of a target hog in his offense. He's really dominated the targets for the Indianapolis Colts. Again, they're playing the Ravens, but the Ravens have not been that great against wide receivers so far this year. So I'll go with Michael Pittman. Joseph Stepp, Chris Carson, or Damian Harris, full point PPR. Going Damian Harris. This is the week you start Damian Harris. They're playing the Houston Texans. You take the over on his rushing prop, 59.5 yards. It's everywhere. I don't know why it's so low. I know that Patriots have a couple of guards on COVID, so that's kind of concerning, but they should be able to run all over this Houston Texans defense. I'm not too concerned about it. Going Damian Harris. And we saw Damian Harris get involved more in the passing game for the Patriots last week without James White. So he actually ran more routes than Brandon Bolden. I know Bolden got more targets, and that's probably going to be the case more often than not because Bolden plays on third down. But Damian Harris, a little bit no action in the passing game. You'll love to see it. Joshua Ortiz, Jared Cook, or Zach Ertz. Going Jared Cook. He's just too involved in the offense, whereas Zach Ertz is basically splitting time with Dallas Goedert as the tight end. So Jared Cook, Justin Herbert, great connection. Love it. Vince Wardman, Brandon Cooks, or T. Higgins. Going T. Higgins. Again, 28% target share first 2 weeks of the season. Brandon Cooks. I feel like the Patriots are going to try to blanket him. I think that he'll still do enough to be a decent wide receiver 2 option this week. But I mean, Belichick knows that Brandon Cooks is the best player on their team, and he's going to make Davis Mills throw the ball to other players. So I think Cooks will still find a way to get some production done, but I'll go towards T. Higgins. Look, remember, Jair Alexander is going to miss this game. The top cornerback for the Green Bay Packers, Jair Alexander Island, as it's been coined by popular media like myself. But the island is gone. It's flooded right now. So T. Higgins take over in week 5. You have to absolutely love it. Geo Gill, Pitts or Fant, rest of season in PPR. I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts. Again, guys, reminder, subscribe to join the chat and drop a like on the stream. Love it. Jay Mitt, Chase Edmonds. Man, there's so many ways to spell Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds, James Robinson, Cordero Patterson, Marvin Jones, pick 2. Edmonds and James Robinson. Louis Calista, Collins, or Gainwell rest of season. Gainwell? I mean, Chris Carson is going to come back eventually. So, yeah, I'll go with Gainwell. Ash, Pinnock, Ayuk, Gaskin, Moss, or Edwards in my last flex spot. I'm going to go with Moss. I'm assuming you're talking about Brian Edwards. Yeah. I mean, none of those guys like Ayuk, don't know what his role is. Gaskin played 12 snaps last week. Can't trust him. And Brian Edwards, unfortunately, though I like him a lot, is being outproduced right now by Renfro and Ruggs. Just getting more opportunities. Jackson Rish, Pittman, or Antonio Gibson, full point PPR. Go with Antonio Gibson. Actually, full point PPR. Man, and Gibson's starting to concern me. Oh, wait, we got news here. Oh, I'm getting from the chat. So Alex Collins is out. If he's out, oh man, I need to double check this. Okay, back to this chat. All right, Sir Blue, Jackson Risk, Pittman, or Antonio Gibson. Because the full point PPR actually might lean towards Pittman in the situation. Again, Gibson it's kind of banged up. He's got a tough matchup against the Saints, so I don't love that. Sir Blue, hey, Superflex League. Pick 2 out of Dak Prescott, Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance. Thank you. Starting Dak Prescott and Trey Lance. So it'll be either Dak Prescott and Trey Lance, assuming Trey Lance obviously starts, but if that's not the case, you go Dak Prescott and Sam Darnold. PPR, Tyler Boyd, Allen Robinson, Michael Pittman. I'm going to go with Michael Pittman there. Again, the targets are there. The guy's getting a monster target share in the Colts offense. The Ravens have not been like this suffocating defense. Again, when you're looking at defenses, you really want to look at the two ends of the spectrum. Like, who is the absolute worst against, positional players, and who's the best? And really, outside of that, it's really kind of all the same. You really want to look more at the player themselves than look at the matchup as the deciding factor. So I know Pittman is playing basically every single snap. He's running every single route where Carson Wentz drops back, and he's getting targets in that offense. So I think Michael Pittman makes a lot of sense there. Antonio Brown, Waddle, or OBJ, full point PPR. I'm going OBJ. Again, the high value opportunities were there last week. I know it didn't work out, but I mean, if you guys rewatch that game like I did, Odell Beckham was like open half the time. So I don't think that Mayfield's going to miss him as much as he did last week. I really highly doubt. Like, betting on those things happening twice in a row just usually don't end up working out. Julian Rivera, should I play Collins tonight or wait to see if Madison starts? Yeah, if you don't want to wait and see, because then if Cook plays, then Madison is going to give you 0. So yeah, if Carson's out, then you got to go Collins. Rod Dangley, 4-0 baby. Thanks for the dedication information. No problem. Great to hear it. Craig Cameron, PPR Flex, Mooney, Marvin Jones, Mike Davis, and Noah Fant. Marvin Jones for me. Mustang Mang. He's the leading in terms of target share on the Jacksonville Jaguars. There is no Chark. So I know I talked about Shenault at the top. Shenault's going to have an expanded role. Marvin Jones will continue to have a heavily involved role. Again, when offenses concentrate to 2 receivers, it makes things much, much easier to do stacking in DFS and just to play them in season-long leagues. So I think Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault are mostly going to be in lineups this week. The matchup against the Titans is too good. Titans defense has just been atrocious. Secondaries have not been able to stop anybody. So yes, I mean, we saw Corey Davis 100 yards receiving last week. It's a good spot to be in. James Crowder had a good game against the Titans. So continue just to fire up those Jacksonville wide receivers, because we know who the ball's going to. Mustang Mang, trade Amari Cooper for Calvin Ridley and Mooney. Yep, 100% buy Calvin Ridley. Trade low on Calvin Ridley. Easy money. Kyle Barrett, Lance, or Tannehill this week. I will go with Tannehill if AJ Brown is back. If he has his receivers back, then yes, I feel much better about Tannehill. Jacksonville's terrible. I'd be willing to wait on Lance. I mean, look, we kind of learned this lesson with Fields. At least I did. It's like, if you have a good alternative, you can just wait and see with Lance and it's full game starting. I think it's going to be good. So I like kind of getting ahead of the curve, DFS with Trey Lance. But unless you really don't have a good option, I think Tannehill's a good option with AJ Brown, with Julio Jones. It's just last week, I mean, Tannehill's been pretty good, even with all the injuries at receiver. His receivers have not really helped him out, even when they've been healthy. But I think AJ Brown, if he's healthy, could have a monster game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shang 10, half one PPR flex, Jameson Crowder or Devontae Smith. Going Devontae Smith. Top 5 air yards this year for Devontae Smith, which is crazy to think they have a mobile quarterback. Tyler Knowles. Do I trade Sermon and Mike Davis for Damian Harris? 100%. 100%. You want to buy Damian Harris. Easy schedule coming up. DJ Cullen, wide receiver 2, standard Devontae, AB, A-Rob, Tim Patrick. Going to go with Antonio Brown in a standard league. Upper decks, Chargers or Falcons D. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Fantasy realist. If Carson is out, Alex Collins or Shenault. I'm going to go with Shenault. Michael Torr, we need one. Hubbard, Shenault, Smith. Half point PPR. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. Sean Joseph Castro, Jamar Chase, or Mike Williams. Safe floor, high ceiling, half point PPR. Oh, go Mike Williams. Yeah. look, Mike Williams had a bad game on Monday night, but if you watch that game, he was like one pass away from like an 80-yard touchdown. So don't by law Mike Williams. Like the guy has been getting his usage is way different than it's ever been. He's getting way more involved in the offense. He's not just running away downfield. So I think it's a good choice to go with Mike Williams. Joshua Ortiz, Latavius Murray, or Miles Sanders to start. Oh, man. Miles Sanders, what's going on, man? I'm going to still go with Miles Sanders. Like, I get Latavius Murray is the quote-unquote starter, and, like, Miles Sanders is the starter, too. But, I mean, I'm going with the guy that I know is explosive, big play upside, Sanders. Ryan W., Moss, Chenault, or Smith. I'm going to go with Devonta Smith. I think I have had Devonta Smith over Laviska Shenault. I want to just make sure I'm marked. I got to move Shenault up the ranks though. I have been, as I've been processing, this week of information. I kind of like coming to grips that I'm probably too low on Shenault. Yeah, I mean I have Shenault like 38. Devonta, actually, man, of course, Laviska and Devonta are back to back. Of course they are. I'll go with Devonta, or I'll go with Laviska Shenault. So I think I asked for a previous question where it's like Smith or Laviska. I'm changing my answer. Laviska Shenault. He's got the coach speak. Got to back that up. Better matchup. So I will go with Shenault. And I just liked Shenault a ton coming into the season. I was a really big fan. Thought he could do a lot of great things, and now he's got the opportunity to do so. So I like those matchups there. Just a quick sip of water. Got to stay hydrated. Tyler Rowe, full point PPR. Antonio Gibson, Damian Williams. I'm still going with Antonio Gibson. I know the matchup sucks, but football team can move the ball against the Saints. We're going to see Gibson. He's just a good player. Like, I don't want to overvaluate, the matchup too hard, but still going to start Antonio Gibson. He's talented. Cali Music. Hi, Andrew. You are a stud. Thanks for all you do. Love it. Trey Lance or Cousins, and Knox over Mark Andrews, half point PPR. No, I would not go Trey Lance over Cousins. Again, this is the scenario I kind of pointed out where if you don't really have a good option, then you can feel good about starting Trey Lance. But Kirk Cousins is playing the freaking Lions. Like, this is, a softball. Like, he should just absolutely smash. So, yeah, I would go with Kirk Cousins there. Dawson Knox or over Mark Andrews? No. Continue to play with Mark Andrews. He's still one of the better tight ends, one of the alpha tight ends in the league. So I'm still going to play him. Shamir Flores, Henry Smith, Cook, or Seals Jones. I love that Seals Jones is making it into people's start sit questions. I love Seals Jones this week. More for DFS. In this case, I would probably go with Jared Cook. He is the clear tight end one in that Chargers office. I know that they use what's his face? Donald Parham a lot, but I'll go Jared Cook here. I believe I have them all pretty closely ranked to each other. I believe I have Cook. Checking the rankings right now. Yeah, I have Cook, Henry, back to back. But so I'll go Cook there. Maddox, Alex Collins, or Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor. Jerry Igna, Kenny G, Corey Davis, or Antonio Brown. I'll go with Antonio Brown in that question. I gotta check Antonio Brown versus Corey Davis. I think I have Corey Davis higher. Yeah, I got Corey. I'll go with Corey Davis there. Again, he's the alpha there. Antonio Brown, I like the matchup. I think that Brady's going to rip apart the Miami Dolphins, but Corey Davis is the clear number one receiver there. Voices 1323. Will Josh Gordon have a great debut for the Chiefs? No. I know that I have Josh Gordon jersey in my background. It does not mean that I think that he's going to have a great season with the Chiefs. Again, like we've seen this play out a bazillion times. It's like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Like, it's just too many times. It's like, I'm just not doing this. What do I do with Miles Sanders? Bench him. Yes, he's a bench player for me this week. In most cases, again, I know I've said Miles Sanders over a couple other guys. It's all perspective, who you're talking about, which other players, but it's just like the usage, man. He's not getting any type of usage where we can feel confident about how he's going to be used in the offense. Like, it's just not something that he, you look at snaps. So he's like almost doubling Kenny Gainwell at snaps, but the touches are almost identical the last 2 weeks. The targets are all favor of Kenneth Gainwell, which is what we need for fantasy. We need targets, half one PPR. So it doesn't really matter that Sanders getting more carries. It's like, doesn't matter. It's not helping. Like, the Eagles offensive line is banged up a little bit. So, yeah, man, it's tough. I know Carolina got ripped up a little bit on the ground game. They were pretty good before they faced Dallas, but I mean, Dallas's ground game is just probably a little bit different. They should have a better offense in general than the Eagles. So, yeah, I'm going to try to sit Miles Sanders if I can this week. Dr. Muffs, Fields or healthy Teddy B in 2-quarterback league. Go with Teddy B, but I don't think he's going to play. So, Bellamries, Antonio Gibson or Damian Williams, half point PPR. I'm getting this question a lot. I still have Gibson ranked significantly higher. Look, the Raiders defense is a lot better than it was last year. I think the matchup is good, but I still think Antonio Gibson as the alpha there in the running back, the best running back on that team, I think is still to play. But maybe I might need to reconsider that. I think for right now, I still feel confident about Gibson. But if I look a little more at that matchup, I might find myself thinking that maybe the upside's not really there as much with Gibson, especially because his pass game usage is kind of limited, and maybe he runs into a wall, which is the New Orleans Saints defense. But I'll still lean for Gibson for right now. Stephen Coe, start Stafford tonight over Brady. No, I like Stafford a lot. You know, he was the highlight of my start sit. I know that it's frustrating when you bench a guy on Thursday night and then they blow up and you feel like, oh my God, like what I do. But I feel like Brady's gonna blow up too. So if you could sleep better at night, just to know that you want to watch Matthew Stafford blow up, I think that he's going to. But I think Brady's gonna have an equally good game. So I would still go with Brady. So top 5 quarterback for me. But if you just want to watch your guy ball out, go ahead, start Matthew Stafford. Amber Mello, start Ridley instead of Williams since he's playing Jets. I'm not sure. Okay, like there's a Amber Mello. I don't know which Williams you're talking about. Maybe Damian Williams or Mike Williams. So make sure you specify which Williams, because there's like 100 Williams right now. Let's go with. So I'm gonna start Ridley. I think I'm starting Ridley over basically every Williams from where I have him ranked. So I can still answer that question, but going forward, any Williams questions, please at least you got to put at least the full name, because even Jay Williams, there's a couple of Jay Williams out there. So Jay Will, there, perfect. Is the Rams defense we're playing this week? Yeah, I think it's fine. Again, in shootouts, these guys turn the ball over. Kyler Murray throws a lot of picks and he runs the line a lot. He gets sacked. Like, just because they're going to score a lot of points, you're not playing a defense because they're going to shut out a team. Like, that usually doesn't happen. They got to get points with sacks, turnovers, interceptions, and that happens when games are high scoring. So I will go with the Rams defense. I would still play them. I don't drop them or pick up another defense because they're good. I mean, it's not ideal. Like, you'd obviously there's other options that are probably better, but it's not worth dropping them and then you lose them forever. Oh, Ridley's out. That's wild. Ugh. All right, so back to that question. So, Amber Mel, if you want to rehash into the chat and figure out, because you got to play Williams now because Ridley's out. Man, I can't believe Ridley's out. Man, that is a freaking buzzkill. Ugh, not making the trip to a personal matter. Okay, well, at least he's not injured. That's always good. Yeah, I guess right now it's the Kyle Pitts show. Man, that is wild. They do not have a lot of wide receivers to play. They're going to, Cordell Patterson. Oh my God. Like, it's the more of the Cordero Patterson show. Like, he is wide receiver 1 now. I know that he's only eligible in some leagues as a receiver versus running back. So yeah, I think that if you have a Cordell Patterson issue, I think this just bolsters him even as a better play because he's just going to be more featured in the offense. I think now Kyle Pitts is an automatic play. At tight end, he's basically their pseudo number 1 wide receiver. Olamide Zaccheaus is interesting as a deep play. If you're playing in a deeper format, he's been the most used wide receiver behind who I was talking about, Calvin Ridley. I'm just kind of checking right now just because this is some newsy items, some juicy nuggets. I want to make sure I'm getting you guys with some updated information. Yeah, I mean, if you look at just who's running the most routes, is Zaccheaus. Russell Gage is still banged up. I don't know if he's going to make the trip. More snaps for Hayden Hurst, but then it gets down to guys like Tajay Sharp. Like, you don't want to pick him up. Christian Blake will probably not play a little bit more, and then they have another rookie wide receiver that I think is still on the roster. So you're not going to be picking up any of these receivers besides Zaccheaus. He's the only guy I would feel confident about playing just from a good secondary. But really, it's more about like Kyle Pitts is going to have to step up and have a big breakout game, and you're going to see more from Cordell Patterson. So yeah, continue. I wrote in the article about Cordero Patterson to start him this week, and he just becomes an even bigger focal point of this Falcons offense now that there is no Calvin Ridley. I mean, you look at his highest fantasy points per snap 0.86 is what he's currently on in PPR formats 2021. That's the highest that's ever been, dating back. I looked at the past season, Kamara's at 0.57, Eckler's at 0.52, then it's Kamara and then Kamara again the last 2 years. So he's playing like Calvin Kamara right now, basically. And with no Ridley, they're just going to use more of him in the offense. So I think right now, I originally wrote that you should sell high on him, but now he's a buy high. And I guess I'm just kind of give the update to think Russell Gage is also not going to play. So it's more Cordero Patterson. You got to move him up the ranks. Yes, but same thing kind of stays the same. You want to continue. So yeah, buy Cordero Patterson. It's crazy to think maybe it's for 1 week, but the Jets matchup is really, really good for Cordero Patterson. You obviously had the hat trick last week, but that's not going to happen. His 35% target rate per route run leads all players with at least 15 targets this season. That's going to make him he's going to run more routes now because there's no Ridley. I can't imagine that Arthur Smith's going to design a game plan with this in mind. And I guess I'm getting the updates here from my producer, Chris. The Jets just moved +3 in the betting lines with Ridley being named out, which is a lot for a wide receiver. I usually don't see that. We only see lines move that significantly with quarterbacks missing time. But hey, Calvin Ridley's a very valuable piece to that Falcons offense. This makes Matt Ryan someone you don't want to start. I thought that he was kind of like on the fringe as like a streamer. But Matt Ryan has been pretty bad without Julio Jones this year. And now that he doesn't have Ridley as well, it's a no-go for Matt Ryan. So you need to bench him in all formats. I thought he was kind of interesting. I think I had him at like quarterback 19. And he's going way down. Like he's falling in the rankings. That's not going to happen. So again, updates. So if you're just tuning in, Calvin Ridley's out, Russell Gage is out, and the line is moving towards the Jets +3. Yeah. So those are some updates. So yeah, Kyle Pitts locked and loaded, Cordell Patterson locked and loaded. Pick up Olamide Zaccheaus if you're desperate. Not ideal. They're probably just going to use more of the tight ends, so they'll probably use Hayden Hurst a lot. But yeah, Olamide Zaccheaus is an interesting piece. And remember, this game is being playing in London. It's a 9:30 a.m. game. So you're going to wake up at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So you're going to wake up. You cannot play a lot of these guys in the DFS main slate. So yeah. So unfortunately, we're going to get the Kyle Pitts breakout game when it doesn't even matter for DFS purposes. But if you've held on to Kyle Pitts for this long, great opportunity to have confidence thrusting him into your lineup. I know I've really in a couple spots, so this definitely hurts. Not ideal. So I'm going to have to scream and run to the waivers and try to figure out a move. Brace and evasive maneuvers. All right. Yeah, there's nothing. Oh, so yeah, back to the matchup. So Cordell Patterson, just mentioned with the Jets. So no team has allowed more fantasy points to running backs this season than the New York Jets, and a huge chunk of it's from receiving production. They rank third. They rank in the bottom 3 in yards, receptions, and targets to the position so far this year. So yeah, Cordell Patterson is now a buy high, especially if you're like 0-4, like you need to win. He's gonna probably smash like in this like I had him ranked a little bit lower. I think consensus I'm gonna have to move him up because this is what happens. Like you just get more targets for these types of players. Mike Davis moves up a little bit too. I mean, he'll probably be more involved. Probably try to run the football a little bit. I just mentioned, the fact that they've allowed the most fantasy points to running backs, benefits Mike Davis. Like he is still playing more over Cordell Patterson. I know that Patterson is like kind of like grabbing all the headlines because he's scoring all the touchdowns, but Mike Davis is still seeing like decent usage. He's just not doing much with it because he's just not that good. But he's like going to be like, I'm moving back up into like the low end RB2 tier. So you're still going to want to play Mike Davis. All right. Let's get back to these questions. All right. Rams defense mentioned that already. Okay. All right. Here we go. Juan Lorano. I'm thinking of trading either Lockett or Cooper for Najee. I'm in PPR. Am I nuts? No. Najee Harris leads all running backs in targets and receptions. So yes, do that. Don Cruz, Jacoby Myers, Boyd or Sutton. I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers. Jeffrey Paradise. If Carson is out, go Collins or Murray. I go Collins, Evil Doughboy, Deebo Samuel, or Keenan Allen. I'm going with Keenan Allen. King Karate Chop. Flex spot in PPR, Darrell Henderson or Cordell Patterson. I'm still going with Darrell Henderson. Jimmy Hunt, Miles Sanders. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals, the Seahawks are terrible against running backs. So, and Darrell Henderson, 90% snap share last week. So, bell cow. Sony Michel fumbled. He's at the doghouse again. Go with Henderson. Jimmy Hunt, Miles Sanders, or Fournette. I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette. Bell cow usage, 82% snap share, 81% route run participation. just super involved. Should we worry about Amari Cooper? No. He's always kind of like this. He's always like takes time off, so I think he's fine. Start, so this is from Brad. Start Knox, Schultz, or Higbee this week. Or actually, first, I'll just go over my sits real quick, just to make sure. I want to hit on all these questions, but I'll just run through them very quick. So I want to start Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones. You're going to sit Baker Mayfield. Russ, I'm a little worried about. I don't know why that's in there. Trey Lance, I think, is a good start here as well, if you have him, but don't necessarily like love him super a lot. I mean, there's another better option. I think he'd be okay. Start Kareem Hunt. Damian Williams, you want to start him. Mentioned Cordell Patterson and Leonard Fournette. Bell cow usage. Sitting running backs, Miles Sanders, Melvin Gordon, and Javonte Williams. Again, the Pittsburgh matchup is brutal. And they're just splitting 50-50. Like, neither of them is the bell cow in that backfield. So you can't trust really either of them to deliver anything, because it's just like a sick RB 30 finish. Like, that's what we're going to get from both those guys. And Myles Gaskin, you got to sit him. 12 snaps last week to Malcolm Brown's 35. Just not good. Like, you can't trust that type of role. Robert Woods, Corey Davis, T. Higgins, Chenault round out the starts. Tyler Boyd, Cole Beasley, Ayuk, and Al Robinson round out the sits. I need to see Justin Fields target Allen Robinson. Like, he has not done it. Like, Darnell Mooney's led the team in targets the last 2 weeks with Justin Fields starting. And I know the Raiders defense has kind of always been bad, but they've actually been a lot better this year. They're number 1 in pressure rate, they're number 4 in pressure rate. And we saw what happened to this Bears offense when they could not block for Justin Fields and against the Browns, and it was a disaster. And I'm afraid that might happen in this week here. So again, I don't think Fields will be nearly as bad, because that just like literally like the 1% range of outcomes for him. But Vegas has been good against the deep ball this year. So even though Fields has a big arm, Vegas has been really good against defending it. Tight end Dawson Knox, Tyler Conklin, Hunter Henry are my starting tight end starts. Kyle Pitts, you want to add to that list with no Ridley. I mean, he was a start anyway for me, but you want to make sure you definitely start him. And then sits Goddard and Robert Tonyan. They're just like not involved enough in their offenses to really bank on usable fantasy production. Goddard, again, if you're rolling with him, you're not going to drop him for a streamer. But I mean, if you have space, I don't mind taking a guy like Tyler Conklin over and starting him. Just his role is clear. Like, he is the tight end 1, whereas Goddard, he scored last week. Oh, that's great. But him and Ertz are just so split in terms of their usage that it can be tough to trust Dallas Goedert. And then defensive starts: Patriots, Saints, Vikings, Cowboys, Cardinals, Falcons, sits Browns, Bills, 49ers, Eagles, and Packers. Again, if you want to check out more of the information, the article is live, pff.com. Check that out. But yeah, those are my starts and sits from the article. And now we'll just get into some questions the next 10 minutes or so before we wrap up here. Just taken back by this Ridley thing, and the fact that like Cordell Patterson is just going to be like, oh my God, he's going to be like a top 15 running back again. He's going to be the RB, if he could be the RB1 after 5 weeks. If Derrick Henry just bombs and Eckler doesn't have a great game, like, wow, that's wild. All right, let's try to answer some of these rapid fire a little bit, just so I can try to get to as many as I can. So I'm just going to take a swig of water. Let's roll. All right, Brad, start Knox, Schultz, or Higbee. Going to go with Higbee. John Richardson, DK Metcalf versus Rams. Mike Williams versus Cleveland. Going to go with DK Metcalf. Caleb Swalls, Crowder, Renfro. Going to go with Crowder. Brian 711, Mike Williams or Robert Tonyan, PPR. Drama Llama, thoughts on Zach Moss? Our Chiefs defense is terrible, and Zach Moss has the second most touches inside the 10-yard line, only behind Aaron Jones since he came back in week 2. So yeah, Zach Moss, touchdown equity. He plays on a great offense, and he's scoring touchdowns, so keep it up. Rippin Libo, should I start Woods or Gainwell flex? Half one PPR, I'm going to start Woods. AC Crivero, Amari Cooper, Hollywood Brown. Cooper, Johnny Ma, Chenault, or Robinson. PF half one PPR, I'm going to go with Chenault. Chris Freeze, Carolina D or Browns D. I'm going to go with the Carolina D. Keith Tapp, who should I flex? PPR, Damian Williams or Jacoby Myers. I'm going to go with Damian. Noah, Young, Edmonds, Taylor, or Henderson. Pick 2. I'm going to go with, oh my God, Taylor and Henderson. I love Chase Edmonds this week. Kevin Mortensen, Lamb, Myers, or Davis. One of those guys? Oh, CeeDee Lamb. Brunel Jacobs, non-PPR, pick 2 at flex. Pittman, Mooney, Renfro, or Kupp. I'm going to go with Pittman and Mooney. Alex Lim with Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage out Sunday. Start Kyle Pitts or Dalton Schultz. Oh, Kyle Pitts. Yes. Kyle Pitts, 100%, 100%. Sad boy Dan, RB2 in full point PPR, Michael Carter, Damian Harris or Samaje Perine. Going to go with Damian. Fang Ku, Russ or Darnold. Russ. Andrew Rene, Singletary or Javonte Williams. Going to go with Javonte, I guess. He's just better. Yeah, I'll go with Javonte. It's just I can't get behind Devil Singletary. He's getting outsnapped by actually let me check the ranks. I'm very intrigued by this. I mean, it's tough because Pittsburgh just like suffocates running backs, but Devin Singletary is just not involved enough. Yeah, I'll go with Javonte. Richard H. Rays, Cooks or Crowder. PPR. I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks. Devin Harris. Hey, Andrew. Full point PPR. Justin Jefferson. Deontay. Keenan. CD. AB. Which two do I sit? Okay. Oh, my God. All right. You're sitting AB. Sorry. And you're going to sit Deontay. It's pretty easy just because it's like one of them has a guy that's arms falling off the quarterback, Big Ben. Even though Deontay's nasty. Deontay's so good, but like there are games where he could, just bust because Big Ben just sucks. And Denver has a good secondary, so I'll bench him there. Kent Clark. Kent Clark? Superman? Bizarro? Higgins, Corey Davis, or Pittman. I'm going to go with Higgins. 28% target share. Start CMC from Matthew Fezzadero. Yes, 100%. You want to start CMC. If he's healthy, he's going to be, I would assume 80% confidence that he is a full-blown workhorse because that's what we saw last year. Again, we're using what we have at our disposal, and that's what we saw last year. And even if reports come out, unless it's like from the team itself, not Ian Rappaport saying that, hey, they're going to split with Mike Davis. They did that and then that didn't happen. So, yes, bye CMC. Tyler Knowles, hey, Andrew, my new dilemma with Ridley, do I start Mooney or Van Jefferson tonight? That's interesting. Van Jefferson has been really, really good. Let me see where I have him ranked. I think I still have Mooney ranked ahead. Just because like the Rams passing game fluctuates so often. I know Van Jefferson has been a guy I've liked a lot. But I think I'm still going to lean towards Mooney. Yeah, Mooney's just good, guys. Mooney's so good. So I'm going to lean towards him. A guy called Ed. Hi, Andrew. Thoughts on CMC workload? Yes. So CMC, if he's playing, he's going to probably see his usual workload. He's so involved in passing game. Like you're starting him. You are definitely starting him. Sorry, where am I? Endgame 0. Corey Davis or Antonio Gibson. Nicholas, Ege, Pio, Schultz, or Kittle this week? Kittle. Guys, don't mess up. Like Schultz has been good, but Kittle's a stud, so play him. D'Anthony Green, thanks for your advice. Need one flex spot. Robert Woods, Damian Harris, or Alex Collins. I'm gonna go with Damian Harris. Zoni, Norcal, Aaron Rodgers, or Danny Dimes. Rodgers, Satello, AB, Lockett, or Damian Williams. 4-point PPR. I'm gonna go with Tyler Lockett. He's still good. Just cannot deny Tyler Lockett. All right, let me check. PPR. Damian might be better. All right, I'm going to get back to this question while I'm taking over should I start Kirk Cousins over Jalen Hurts? 0 chance. Jalen Hurts has not finished as a top 12 quarterback since becoming starter. Every single week. Top 12 quarterback. He never leaves your starting lineup. I have Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson on the same team. I'm not playing Lamar Jackson over Jalen Hurts. It's not happening until his bye week. So, yes, you're going to start Jalen Hurts. Back to this Lockett, Damian Williams question. Let's see where I got. Lockett is 35. Harris, of course. Back to back. Wait, no, it's Damian Harris, not Damian Williams. Where's Williams? That's the real question. Oh, yeah, no, it's Lockett. It's Lockett. Whew. Okay. Jacob Noor, PPR Collins, or Davis? Gonna probably go with Mike Davis there. Don't feel worried about it, but go with Mike Davis. Full point PPR. Gotta love the full point PPR. Russell Wilson or Jalen Hurts? Going Jalen Hurts. Bat Mac Gaming, half point PPR. Do I trade AB for Marvin Jones and Roundtree? I have Eckler. Yeah, that's fine. I'd rather have AB than Marvin Jones, but Marvin Jones is number 2 now, guy, or there's less targets to compete with. So, yeah, if you want to back up Eckler, if you're worried about his injuries, yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. AB for Marvin Jones is pretty lateral for the most part. Trey Lance or Mac Jones, I'm going with Trey Lance. Joshua Ventura, going to go with Trey Lance there. Man, absolutely wild. So, yeah, for those tuning in, gotta remember Ridley is out. Russell Gage is out. So, move up Kyle Pitts, move up Cordero Patterson. I got to readjust my rankings, move up Zacchaeus a little bit, and move down Matt Ryan. Trey Lance, okay, Falk, Jew, Boyd, Chenault, Ruggs, or on flex, going with Laviska Chenault, 29% target share in week 4 without DJ Chark. And yeah, Allen Robinson, Jacoby Myers, or Sterling Shepard. I'm going to go with my guy, Jacoby Myers. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Claude, the bloodless crafter and producer. Standard, pick 2, Sutton, Golladay, or Melvin Gordon. I'm going to pick Sutton and Golladay. Standard league. Melvin Gordon, I'm not playing against the Steelers. Sorry. Just can't do it. Cannot be done. Golladay and Sutton are big wide receivers, and they have touchdown equity, so I like them. Do you pick up Damian Williams and drop Chuba Hubbard? If you need someone to start, then yeah, I would do that. I mean, it seems like McCaffrey's going to come back pretty soon. This is from Curtis Wolford. It seems like McCaffrey's coming back, if not this week, next week, and we know David Montgomery is not coming back for at least a month. So right now, Damian Williams has more value than Hubbard does. I'd try to drop somebody else. I'd like to try to keep Hubbard just because in case McCaffrey gets re-hurt or re-injured. Berkeley, Dubai, PPR, Allen Robinson, Jalen Waddle. Whew. I'll go with Waddle. Dude, Tampa Bay just bleeds fantasy points to wide receivers. Bleeds. So, yeah, I'll go with Waddle. Minnesota D or Rams D. I'll start Minnesota's D. Don't drop the Rams defense, though, for them. Junior Millar. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Doing great, man. It's Thursday. Almost wrapped up my article written content for the week at pff.com. So, feeling good on the live stream. Life is good. If you have help, please pick 2 defenses, Broncos or Browns. Chris Carson or Josh Jacobs to start. I would start Broncos defense. And right now, I'm going to have to move Chris Carson down my rankings a little bit just because I don't know what his workload is going to be like at all. So going Josh Jacobs and I'm going Broncos defense. Sean Patterson, bench 1, DK, Patterson, Hunt, Antonio, bench and Antonio. Wow, that's wild. Cordero Patterson, man. What a wild ride. Sean Patterson, Cordero Patterson. Start P. Ryan if Mixon is out. Yeah, he's a back-end RB2 if you need a plug and play. Dan Harmon, which 2? Pittman, Jacobs, Jameson Crowder. Pittman and Jacobs for me. Jedi Mind Tricks. Love that name. Should I trade Kirk for Chenault? Yes. Enrique Garcia. Hi, Andrew. Half point PPR. Chuba or Devontae Smith? Going with Devontae Smith. Tom Helm, I'm sorry, I didn't see the questions come in. I apologize. I keep saying move up Patterson, but not answering questions about it. Mike Williams or Patterson? Mike Williams. Still sorry, Mike Williams in that situation, but sorry about that, Tom. Did not see those questions come in. Apologize. All right, guys, that is going to wrap me up for the live stream here. Make sure you tune in to the live stream every single week here on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Find us over at FantasyPros.com. You can find me, your host, Andrew Erickson, over on Twitter at Andrew Erickson _. And also all my work is over at PFF.com. And yeah, I mean, it's a wild ride. Calvin Ridley being ruled out. You got to make adjustments. So go to the waiver wire. I have a couple waiver wire articles written over at PFF.com too. So you can go check those out. I'll tweet them out again. So you can look for some receiver help if you're in a pinch. Yeah, good luck to everyone tonight as games kick off. Seahawks and Rams should be a fun game. And yeah, start Robert Woods tonight. Believe. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Sean McVay is going to get Robert Woods his targets. So have confidence. And yeah, enjoy week 5. London game, 9:30 a.m. It's going to be fun.